let's unbox a character that simply would not fly if it was the other way around. Yes, I am talking about the original series, Masters of the Universe. Going further than that, basically the third season of Masters of the Universe, as far as I'm concerned, it still fits the continuity, is Princess of Power She-Ra. And in that series, we were introduced to Frosta. Frosta has a couple of things going for her. One, she is legit awesome. Two, she has a very solid design. Three, she is ridiculously powerful. She's one of those things that makes me say, oh, I see why she's a master of the universe. Like, she's broken powerful. And that's good, because oftentimes we see that only She-Ra can do things. Only He-Man can do things. 1980s writing often pivoted one character as the hero character, and everybody else was pretty much useless. And if they did have a moment to shine, they would only shine for a little bit, and then we would have to get the hero involved because the hero is the only one that can actually handle the situation. Like, I didn't really feel that the same way with Frosta. There were many times that Frosta was like the only reason they were getting through the situation, and she oftentimes would show us that she could do things that, like, other characters should be, they should wish they were as strong as Frosta. In fact, I would go as far as to claim that there's probably a mild influence here, if not larger than mild influence, that Frosta is pretty much what led us to Elsa. And I'm serious about that. When I got to thinking about it, when I started watching Masters of the Universe and got to Princess of Power and was watching, and I saw her, it didn't take me very long to be like, she's like basically a ruler of a different people. She has ridiculous ice powers. She's probably the brokest thing in the entire show aside from She-Ra. Like, holy crap. And it started I started drawing some interesting parallels that I was like, I think this is possible, that this is, somebody may have been influenced. That's how I felt. But for all the cool stuff I just said, she has one major character flaw. You might think it's cute, but you could also argue it is a huge character flaw. That if it was the other way around, see, because you see that and you look at it and it's really cool and you're like, she's cool. Look at this. You see this part here though? You see the little making the ice sculpture of He-Man? And have you ever seen the episodes that she's in where she's just super thirsty and like she will not get off of him, to the point where he is legit uncomfortable, to the point where he is literally trying not to be rude and not to be forceful, but trying to get away from her. And she even gets to a point where she literally is like stopping him from doing what he's supposed to do. And She-Ra even calls him out in an episode or whatever, and she's like, if you two could stop flirting for a minute and help me here. And he was like, me? Like, it's not me. I very much am not interested in her. Sure, she's pretty, but I'm going back home to Tila. Like, I'm sorry. And she has a straight up Pepe Le Pew thing going on. And if you were to reverse her character, if this was a Frost man, if he was Frostor, and he had a very unhealthy, very grabby relationship with some woman, we would probably call that out. But it was a different time. And there are double standards. We very blatantly know that. So I've always found her to be an interesting relic of the past. But in terms of toys, I'm very interested to see I'm very interested to see what I get out of her when I open her up. Because another thing about Masters of the Universe that I've said time and time again is really cool is that these figures, they are their own thing. Very much their own thing. The mini-comics is its own continuity. The figures, very much, if you look at them, they are their own continuity. Every single show is its own continuity. The main comic books are its own continuity. Everything about Masters of the Universe from the very beginning has been massively malleable. Well, let's open her and see what kind of vibes we get. Okay, here she is, Frosta. Stood up easy, okay? That's a plus right off the bat, because sometimes the female characters are weighed differently. With different lines, this is different problems in different lines over different characters. Oftentimes, and it happens a lot in Marvel Legends, you will put one of these female characters down, and for some reason they were given like high heels. And not that that isn't true to characters sometimes, but they have been given like these ridiculously tiny high heels, and they will fall over. And then other times it happens with other characters that also honestly confuses me a little bit. Like, one thing I didn't really call out, but I probably should have, on the Red Sonja, I think she was done with high heels. And to my knowledge, and I could be wrong, I'd have to go back and look, but I'm almost positive that every Red Sonja that I've read, she wears boots. Like, and they're not like high heel boots, they're boots. And I'm pretty sure they're usually flat foot boots. So giving her those kinds of feet bothers me a bit. This girl has the super long boots, which are really cool, and they got that frost effect that goes up, kind of like the icicles, but they are flat foot boots. She stands. I like that. I like this hair, and I know that, like, evidently if you put her in, like, the fridge or whatever, her hair will kind of change colors, which is kind of a cool effect. But, of course, I'm not going to do that right now, because everything that I do here is a very much, like, on the nose, I just seen this for the first time, just opened it kind of review, and I like my first impressions to be first impressions, so while that is really cool, and I'm sure that it's a neat effect, I don't need to see it personally for me to appreciate it right now. I will see it later in hindsight. I like the gauntlets. They're very simple, but they do have some wear and tear, which I think is cool. If you look, like right here, there's a little scuff, and it could just be, so it could just be like a little bit that mine wasn't perfect, but I'm actually fine with that if it's true, because personally, it makes it feel like she's seen battle. You know what I'm getting at? Everything that you would expect from a character in this line, she moves just perfectly. I don't know that I'm sold on the cape 100% other than the fact that the cape seems solid for what it's worth. We would always level wireframe, but if we're not going to get one, there's enough cape here for it to be what it's supposed to be without me worrying about it. And it's not too intrusive. There's the little band right here that's under her neck, and that's all that it is. And now the face. Let me get that right there. So here's my thing. This is fine. I actually think it's a really good face. I really do. I think it works really well. I think it's real good. I do. I like it. And I like the dark makeup and everything like that. The kind of, like, she has kind of like the rosy cheeks and everything. I kind of like it. I really do. I'm kind of into it. But it is not, I don't know that it's true to the original series face necessarily. I'm not complaining about it, but the original series face, I remember it being fairly angular. And I'm not sure that I'm seeing it necessarily here on this face. Especially like when you look at her from the side here. It's nice though. I'm really not complaining. I'm simply saying that if I had to point something out, that is something that I could point out. Staff, it's pretty good. It stands about as tall as I want it to stand. Anytime you're going to sell me a staff, it needs to be about as big as the character is. She needs to be able to hold it while it touches the ground, and I'm fine with that. For whatever reason, this staff, they added this. I guess that's cool, but I honestly don't know what the point of it was. But it's an option. You can do it. And she comes with this straight up, like, she could straight up throw a wicked, wicked fist of ice, because this goes around her fist, and there. She just has like this straight up ice, this ice thing right here. This, which is kind of cool. You could very much do something with it, like, bam! But I mean, I don't know how crazy I am about it. I'm sure that I will find reasons for it. Her skirt doesn't seem to be impeding her too much. It is there. It does push the leg down a little bit, but I mean, look, you just seen how high I got on the leg, so I don't think that it's giving us any kind of problem that we won't be able to get around. A little bit of the color on mine is a little bit washed off. It has a lot of give to it. And otherwise, I think I'm just on board with her. I think I just like her in general. She is a solid figure. She's a solid character for what it's worth, even though I did have to call her out a little bit. I had to call her out because I know beyond the shadow of a doubt that if you did it in reverse, the kind of character that she is, it would not have been okay. I did laugh about it. I wasn't super touchy about it. I thought it was part of a comedy aspect that they were playing off of. And because it's kind of an 80s cartoon, I didn't really take it all that seriously, in all honesty. But I do know, and I would be interested to see how they would handle her character in a modern day interpretation if they had to play off the aspect that she was like, you know, straight up stalker level adoring for Adam. Because she straight up is, man. He-Man is her absolute dream, and she is not the kind of girl to let him get away. She basically hounded him every second he was on camera. Okay? And that's Frosta. That's Frosta added to the shelf. And I didn't mention that she does come with 2 other hands. I probably should have mentioned it. It didn't really... they're expression hands. So, you know, they're those kind of open hands, which is very fine and everything, but it's not something that, like, blew me away. I mean, you get it. They're extra hands, and they do what they're supposed to do. But, yeah. Otherwise, you could put her there. The staff actually can touch the ground, which is something that I like about these figures. We talked about that. She does come with this ice effect, which I could argue could have been done better, but it's not awful. I don't see her as this, like, front line creating an icicle and punching you with it type of fighter, though. I almost feel like they would have done themselves a favor if she would have created, like, an ice shield, almost like the Invisible Woman effect, or if she would have had, like, literally an ice platform to stand on with, like, some spikes coming up or something. That would have been really cool, too. In fact, that probably would have been the coolest. Especially if you would have given it something like, basically it's a type of floor with a couple of spikes and she can stand on it. But at the same time, maybe you put two little grip things in the bottom where you could actually put it on her and she could basically be like creating a wall that stops something, that would have been really cool. That would have been the absolute ideal. Probably it would have had to have been like a deluxe figure at that point. But I could think of a lot of things to do with like an ice platform that would have been really cool. But all in all, I don't really have anything to complain about here. But she's also not exactly one of my all-time favorite characters, so I don't have like big stories or anything with her, other than the fact that I did take note about her issues, her questionable character design choices. Added to the shelf. I'm gonna get out of here.